the wholesale slaughter of unborn children. We have killed over 40 million unborn babies in America. Have we found that we are unable somehow to defend ourselves against some of the attacks that are coming against us, either by terrorists or now by natural disasters?
Televangelist Pat Robertson once implied abortion was the reason for Hurricane Katrina.
I am not at all persuaded that so-called homosexuals are homosexuals because of biological problems. There may be a very few, but there's so many that have been made homosexuals because of a coach or...
He railed against the LGBTQ plus community every chance he got.
My wife has become a real problem. She has no respect for me as the head of the house. She insults me. She even went as far as stretching her hand to beat me. I've lost my self-confidence. Her words hurt so much, and she refuses to talk through our problems. Please tell me what I can do.
Well, you could become a Muslim, then you could beat her.
He made preposterous statements such as these.
The people of color have to rise up and overtake their oppressors, and then, having gotten the whip handle, if I can use that term, then to instruct their white neighbors how to behave. Now that's critical race theory.
Would say this of CRT, or as Herschel Walker put it,
I'm sick and tired of them wanting to teach CTR in school.
He was a deep anti-Semite, and 2 days after 9/11, Jerry Falwell and Robertson said the following.
What we saw on Tuesday, as terrible as it is, could be minuscule if in fact God continues to lift the curtain and allow the enemies of America to give us probably what we deserve. I really believe that the pagans and the abortionists and the feminists and the gays and the lesbians who are actively trying to make that an alternative lifestyle, the ACLU, People for the American Way, all of them who tried to secularize America, I point the finger in their face and say, you helped this happen.
Well, I totally concur.
Of course he does. Televangelist Robertson died at 93 years old. He was one to scam people, making millions upon millions of dollars in his lifetime, claiming to cure countless viewers through his prayer and their donations. And like many,
I think in this particular case, there is a spiritual battle against our president. He's God's man for this job.
He was an ardent supporter of Donald Trump. One target of former President Donald Trump, kneeling black players calling out systemic racism and police brutality. When the 2017 Las Vegas shooting came about, Robertson latched on.
There is profound disrespect of our president all across this nation. They say terrible things about him. It's in the news, it's in other places. There's disrespect now for our national anthem, disrespect for our veterans, disrespect for the institutions of our government, disrespect for the court system, all the way up and down the line, disrespect.
To be clear, as the Post wrote at the time of his rant, Robertson referred to how some National Football League players have knelt during the national anthem as a form of protest against police brutality toward African Americans, on the disrespect for the veterans line.
And I thought kneeling showed reverence in some way and respect in some way to those that fought, and many of those that gave their life for what the flag and the anthem represents. People take a knee to pray. Anybody, almost anybody, stand in front of your wife-to-be, you get down on a knee and you ask for her hand in marriage out of respect and reverence for her. So I thought it looked more proactive. I thought it was important that he was alongside his teammates, embracing his brothers, whether they agreed with him or not, but also, showing that he was willing to give a little bit in some way and willing to sort of lay down his arms. And I thought it just for me, it felt more this proactive, respectful way.
Former Green Beret Nate Boyer would differ. Boyer saw the San Francisco 49ers quarterback, Colin Kaepernick, sitting on the bench at the beginning of his protest in 2016, and he disagreed with sitting. He heard why Colin was protesting and concluded kneeling was the most respectful way. Kaepernick would receive tons of support from veterans, no matter how much Pat Robertson and others despised it. For Robertson, he just wouldn't see it. Deep racial tensions, including violence in the streets, are stoked by the president's own public comments. Most of the terrible things that are said about Trump are in direct response to his provocative tweets that contribute to the identity politics, polarizing and poisoning our discourse. Robertson, let's be clear, like many, were reportedly mocked by the president in private. They're all hustlers, he said of evangelicals. Former aides told The Atlantic, McKay Coppins, they've heard Trump ridicule conservative religious leaders, dismiss various faith groups with cartoonish stereotypes, and deride certain rights and doctrines held sacred by many of the Americans who constitute his base.
You've been talking about how it's your favorite book, and you said, I think last night in Iowa, some people are surprised that you say that. I'm wondering what one or two of your most favored Bible verses are, and why.
I wouldn't want to get into it, because to me that's very personal. You know, when I talk about the Bible, it's very personal, so I don't want to get into verses. I don't want to get into...
There's no verse that means a lot to you that you think about or cite?
The Bible means a lot to me, but I don't want to get into specifics.
Even to cite a verse that you like? No,
I don't want to do that.
You're an Old Testament guy or a New Testament guy?
Probably equal. I think it's just an incredible... The whole Bible is an incredible... I joke very much so. They always hold up the Art of the Deal. I say my second favorite book of all time.
For Robertson, he is widely, and I mean widely, credited with ushering Christian conservatism into mainstream politics in the 80s and 90s and laying the groundwork for the modern right-wing culture war. He has a history of extreme, bigoted commentary, including that gay people and abortion caused 9/11, Haitians deserved the 2010 earthquake that ravaged the island nation, and that feminists are evil.